Hello everybody, welcome back to the 12 Days of Christmas Watercolor Challenge for day 6. After today we will be halfway done, which hopefully feels like it's been a fun journey so far and not too hard or anything like that. Hoping that you guys are finding this fun and festive. Today, super excited to do a Nutcracker for the very first time, and of course I had to add a paintbrush and a paint palette, so had to add our painter's twist to this one. I'm going to make it kind of a more fun color than a traditional Nutcracker. But yeah, so whatever you desire to paint for his jacket, feel free. You don't need to follow along the colors that I'm doing. I'm just going to use a medium to small pointed brown brush. If you need to, go ahead and find something even smaller if you need to create those little dots. Those little dots on his jacket. I'm going to use this bleed-proof white. If you don't have that, just make sure to work around, or you could go back through and paint them a nice dark color. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm actually just going to start with the jacket so I can get a good idea for the colors that I want to paint for the outfit of this Nutcracker. So for me, I am going to do it, I want to make it kind of a pinkish color, so a little bit tricky because I don't have a true pink in my palette today. I'm going to take this red, and then actually, you know what, it's going to be kind of more of like a magenta. We'll see what color comes from this, but let's add a little bit of this blue, an ultramarine blue. It's kind of giving it a nice warm cranberry color. That's really pretty, I think. So I think I'll go ahead with that. Let me show you how that looks. I'll start with the arm over here. And I'm just laying on kind of a medium amount of paint and water. And just going to fill in the shape of the jacket here. So here's that color that I'm working with right now. And I'll fill in this part. And then of course the tassels up here, those are usually like a gold, and I probably will stick with that. We'll just get this one color in for the jacket, working around. Again, if you don't have the bleed-proof white, either leave those little dots if you're able to, or just go back through with a darker color. Okay, that piece there. And this side, this is his beard down the center. I think this would make such a cute card, or even on a sweatshirt. Wouldn't this be so cute? I've created products with my watercolor paintings for a long time now, and I use a variety of vendors to create and order the products. But one really great place if you're interested in creating anything really, I mean, like I said, t-shirts, or you could create cards, prints, mugs with your paintings from this challenge. You totally can do that, and I recommend playing around on Zazzle.com, and they have like thousands of different products that you could create, and fairly inexpensive price points, and I think they just make a really fun gift if you decide to do that. Okay, there's my cranberry color so far. Going to work my way down underneath the belt. And again, I don't have like a ton of water or a really dark amount of paint on my brush right now. Just that nice medium base layer. Getting it all filled in here. And we will show a little bit of dimension, keeping our paintings simple for this challenge, but some dimension. Now I want to be able to use that same color. I'm just going to continue with it. Again, having to mix it up. It's not always the same each time, just doing my very best to get it somewhat close. The other place that I want to add this color is up on the hat. So let's do I didn't do an outline for this, but I think I want to add a little stripe. So just paint in this section right here, and then leave a section down the center for a different color. I'm not exactly sure what it'll be yet. And over here. Okay, let's see. Trying to decide what else I will paint. I think I will do the gold colors next. So let's grab, okay, my yellow ochre is turning very green because I've been mixing it with my greens so much. So I'll first just try and wet some of that and get it out of my palette. And there we go. So I'm just going to use the exact yellow ochre. I think that's such a pretty color. And that's what I'll use for the tassel area. So this little piece here, and then these are tassels hanging down. So I'll just use the very tip of my brush just to show some lines like that. Bring that up closer so you can see it. And then I will do one over here. Like that. And then I also want to do that gold color on the cuff. So right here, this little piece here. And over by the other hand, back here. I just think it's so cute that he's holding on to a little paintbrush and a palette. Let's see. Definitely need some gold in the crown. So I'll just continue with that yellow ochre. And I would like to do a fun little design. I do think I want to leave a little spot for like a little jewel or something just to make it look more crown-like. So I'll just paint on a little circle there. Maybe one on this side too. Kind of do like a half circle. And one over here. I will go back through and paint it the same as the jacket eventually. But for right now, I'll just leave it white. Fill in my crown. I will probably make this piece a different color too. So I'll just do this one section. Super easy, one flat color for right now. And there we go. How about this little piece on top? Okay, let's see. Anywhere else? Maybe put the cuff down here on the boot. A yellow or that gold. Here I picked up a little more paint on my brush, so it's just a little bit darker, not by much. And we'll fill in this piece here. Like that. Cute. I think you could always do the buttons in like a gold color, but just remember it's going to overlay on that reddish pinky color we already painted, so I'm not exactly sure if that'll come through very well. Yeah, that all looks good to me. So let's continue painting on our base colors, and then we'll go back through and we can darken up some layers. And for the pants, let's see, I'm thinking kind of a fun blue. So let me just take a look here on my palette. We have a really bright blue. And yeah, let's do that. It's like, I can't remember which one's the French ultramarine, but this was definitely the Windsor blue. It's more of like a ultramarine, I would say. Okay, and here I have a different blue. That's more of like a true royal blue. So yeah, let's go with that. I'm going to go with more of like an actual royal blue color. Super bright. It's kind of like the Christmas tree that we did on day one. Just used a lot of fun bright colors. So being careful if your cuffs here are still wet. Be careful to not run your paint over that because, or into that, could bleed, and then obviously the blue and the yellow mixing will make some type of green. And I'm not sure I don't really want that, so I'll just be careful and get real close. Or you could be patient, which I'm not being, and paint somewhere else in the painting that doesn't have a wet spot next to it. All right. Look how fun that is. Super bright. Let's bring that blue color in a few other little places just to tie it in. We for sure will need a blue on our palette here. So let's say red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Let's do that. So this piece right here, I'm just going to paint that in. Just a little splotch. Let's see, I would say the eyes. I forget about the eyes. Let's just do a light little ring of that blue. And how about the belt? Let's do the belt being blue. I forgot the buckle on the belt to be that gold color. I'll definitely add that in. So just painting in this little belt here and a little spot, a little square in the middle. And again, that little white area that I just left, I will make gold. All right, getting rid of all the blue on my brush. I think that's pretty good for the blue right now. The other areas, so we have some dark areas to come. This is where you could use black, or you could use the Payne's Gray. I think I will go with black and treat it more like gray with just a lot more water. So I'm using an ivory black, pretty much a true black here. So just grabbing a smallest amount, especially because mine just got squeezed out of a tube. I am now going to paint in this cutie mustache. Again, it's not super dark because I don't have a ton of paint on my brush. If you need more control over the details, go ahead and switch to a smaller brush if you need, if yours doesn't have a really good point. So here we are, just filling in that piece right there. Oops. Okay, that's a very not symmetrical beard I got going on here. So let me just fix this piece. Get rid of some of that on my brush, and I can just smooth out what I have on my paper. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Let's do the same thing for those eyebrows. Not enough. Just grab a little bit here. I feel like I have a lot of water on my brush, so just dab my paper towel. There we go. You'll just start to get throughout all of these paintings, you'll really start to feel what it feels like to have the amount of paint and water on your brush based on picking up paint and creating different consistencies throughout this challenge, or at least that's my hope, because that's a big part of watercolors, understanding the amount of paint and water you have on your brush to be able to do what you want to do in different instances. So here I have a little bit more. I just want to add it into the eye, to the center there. And that looks good right now. Again, just something super simple. The boots here, typically, I guess there would be a black boot, but why not a brown boot, right? So I'll do a brown leather boot. I think I need to bring out some more burnt umber. Mine is slowly getting used up. So I'll just pour a little bit more out. And so here's our burnt umber. And I'll warm up that color with a little bit of the burnt sienna just to make it a little bit orangier. But it has to contrast against our gold cuff. So I might not have done it. Again, I'm going to go back through and paint the white buttons everywhere. All right, just grab a little bit more brown. And paint in our boot. So you'll notice that you don't really see any shadows or shapes, so we'll go back through and do that. Once this piece dries, we'll do this same base layer. And gonna grab a little more. Okay. Let's see, I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, as you can see, there's nothing showing how there's any detail on the foot versus the leg. So we'll go back through and do that. With this brown on my brush still, I just want to paint in the paintbrush. It's just going to be a traditional little wooden paintbrush here. Like that. And we also need a light wood palette. So let's just use whatever paint is on our brush, pick up a little water, and let's paint that in. And again, you want to work around any of those little paint splotches. I haven't painted them in yet. Only the blue, because I had it on my brush at the time. I'll just leave a few. But I just want a nice light wooden paint palette. All right. We are getting closer. Let's do the hair. So that could either be, again, the Payne's Gray or this light gray color. So picking up very, very little. And what I'm actually going to do is just paint a little bit of fun hairs, showing texture along the bottom half of that beard. And then also a few kind of coming out of the mouth area underneath where a shadow might be. And if you have a little bit on your brush, you could just go ahead and smooth some of that up. So there's a little bit of white showing of the paper and a few little darker lines. All right, let's do the same for the hair. So it's going to be the darkest, kind of right underneath his crown and along the face. We'll do that on the other side too. Oops, too much. Up top and around the face. And then to smooth it out, I'll just grab a little bit of water and bring it down like that. Let's see, let's add, we need the shirt underneath. Underneath the jacket. Let's make that. Oh, let's see. Orange would be a little bright. We could make it a green. Let's do that. That piece will really stand out. Maybe we'll bring this green in up top there. So I'll just use my sap green as is, since it's a nice primary brighter color. Okay, there's that. Brings a little bit of that festive feel to our little guy here. And then let's add it up here. Right along the cap. Oops, got a little wild. And that. Alrighty. So we do need to go back through and add our paint still, but also the face. So the face, I personally want to make it kind of a wooden Nutcracker. So here we have a little bit of our brown, super duper light amount of it, mostly water, a little bit of brown. That's what I'm going to use to paint in the wood. Being really careful not to touch that green. I'll just work right around it, right underneath. Oops, I might have brushed against it a little bit. As you can see there, it's running into his face. No big deal. I'll go back through and scoop that up or dry that right up. Here's our little Nutcracker's mouth or teeth, so we'll leave that. Yep, so totally happens to me too if it's happening to you, of the bleeding water. I'm going to bring that same paint that I have on my brush all the way down into the hands. Okay, getting rid of that. Get a nice clean, somewhat dry brush, and let's just swipe that green off the forehead. All right. So that fixed mine a little bit there. Looks like I forgot right above, or right between his eyebrow and his eye there. All right. So now we'll let that dry, and eventually we'll use a really detailed brush to go back through and kind of outline some areas. Let's do the paint palette colors. So starting back with our red color here, paint that on the first swatch. Let's do a bright yellow. If you have bright yellow in your palette, I think that would be really fun. Oops, am I getting red, orange? Oops. Here I am. The painter is getting my colors mixed up. So I gotta go quick drop in my orange. Now I can go back to my yellow right here in the third spot. And get rid of that paint and grab your green swatch for right there. All right, there we go. So cute. Let's decide what color we want on our paintbrush. I would say, how about something different that's really going to stand out on our painting, which is that orange. So I'll just grab that orange, paint it. I love this orange in my palette. It's just so nice and bright. Paint just the tip. Oops, got a little water in my paper there, but just paint the tip of our brush. And now let's also do some detailed work. And we won't do a ton. Let's just add another layer just to show a little more dimension in our painting. So I'll grab a little bit of that red mixture that we made, which was the red and any like blue that you have. And let's run it right along the edge here. And this is a wet on dry technique, so it's going to stay put wherever you put that piece. So running it kind of along the edges of things, right along kind of where the face is, even down and along where that beard is, and down here on the jacket. Up to you if you like that look of more of a block style, or you could grab a little bit of water, dab your paper towel, and just run it through to help smooth in, blend in that piece. That's always my preferred option. I just like the way the smoothing looks, but you don't have to. It kind of gives the same vibe of a shadow. Again, we'll bring that color up top there on the inside and right underneath those cuffs. If you feel like you lost any, just drop it in. Like me, here I lost some. All right. add a little bit right here where the crown kind of comes into those points. And that looks, oops, I forgot I was going to do those jewels, so that red color. Now that our crown is dry, right there. All right, I forgot that nutcrackers usually have a rosy cheek, so with a really, really light amount of red, even dab the paper towel that you have, so you have very little amount. There's always these really cute little rosy cheeks. And that really actually made him pop there. I think that made him look a lot more healthy or just happy. He has that little bit of rosiness to his face. All right, things are looking good. Let's add a little bit of detail down into the boots here. So that is, oops, I forgot, I just put that into my palette, so I just scooped up way too much. I just want that burnt umber and a little bit of either the black, or what I like to mix in is the Payne's Gray to make that nice dark brown. And let's define right where that shoe is, so right along that top ridge, as well as right underneath, like that. And then I like to get rid of some of that paint, and I might even just add a little more dimension like we have on the body, kind of on the outer edges here. And right above the toe. So that really helped define that part of it. Things are looking good. I think I am going to now switch to, feel free to add more layers anywhere that you see or clean up anything, but right now I'm switching to a very, very small 000 detailed brush. This is a fine liner brush. I am going to use it with the little bit of black on there. And that's what's going to, and actually another tip too, if you're looking to get a nice pointed edge, is to spin your brush into your wet paint on your palette. Okay, so this is what's going to help outline our eyes. So I'll take this really, whoopsie, I don't even have that much on there, so let's get a little more right along the eye here and underneath. I don't want a lot. You can even use a pen. My brush is starting to get so old, I gotta get a new one. So just kind of outlining right along the eye. This poor eyebrow looks like it kind of lost its shape. And let's take just that nice dark brown with our small brush. Run it right along the shape of the nose. And let's see, anywhere else you want to show some detail, you could outline the little hand. You could also take this and this black color and use that to add even more texture into the beard. And some up top here. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to actually use to create the teeth. So the teeth are pretty easy. It's just a grid, so I'm just going to kind of almost draw that grid in. So I just drew that box and then just a few lines like that. I would normally put a line down the center, but this painting is so small, I just don't think I'd be able to do a good job at that. So I'm going to just do those 2 lines down the middle. Actually, I'm going to switch back to my other brush. I was using my size 3, and I'm just going to blend in that nose just a tiny bit. So I'm just taking a little bit of water and running it right over top, just to try and blend that into the face so it's not quite so dark. All right, that looks good. Feel free to paint this little piece here if you decide. I think I am going to now switch over to the bleed-proof white and add in those buttons. I can also add in some detail into the beard, but again, I'm going to take my really fine liner brush, and mine is super dry on the top. There is some wet paint at the bottom. I'll even put some right here. And you want a really thick milk or almost Elmer's glue consistency, so a little bit of water added to that, or whatever amount of water that you need for yours. Oops, I forgot to do my belt. This is kind of like a little puzzle of a painting. Okay, the little buttons. I'm just going to use this white, bleed-proof white, and do our little buttons like this. And our little buttons down here on the boot. So feel free to touch up anything. My eye might need a little touching up. I might just go back through, try and fix that. Again, you could add this bleed-proof white into any little hairs you have. Depending on how dark you made your beard, might not pop as much, but it just kind of helps. Even soften some of those lines. All right, my poor eyes, they didn't turn out as great as I wish, so I can't wait to see your guys' paintings from the Nutcracker. Hopefully you have a little more success than I did. I got a little squiggly on my eyebrows and the eyes, but hopefully I kind of recovered it there. And I know that they are just fun characters to begin with, so in the end, I know it's going to be okay. Oops, let's finish. I see one little spot. Let me go back to the brush I like to use. I need to paint in my belt buckle. So with the yellow ochre, just filling in that little belt buckle, and that looks good to me. Let's see, I don't think, you might need to paint in the bristles of your brush if you're like me, so just use that yellow ochre like that. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the Nutcracker artist tutorial today for today's challenge painting, and I can't wait to see it. Be sure to post it if you are participating in all 12 days and hoping to enter into the drawing of the free Master Watercolor Dog Breeds course. I will be entering all of your entries onto my spreadsheet that I have. So tag me at Windswept Design Studio. If you don't have Instagram, I have a way that you can contact me. Just check out down below in the description of the videos. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next day.